Hello again, and welcome to another horrific review. Adam's here. Welcome.
Thank you.
Unfortunately, Cameron couldn't make it. Some stuff popped up there last minute. Sad to say, but hope he's all right. Everything works out.
Yeah, thoughts and prayers going out.
Yeah, all
Thoughts and
yeah.
prayers.
That's the type of people we are. Yeah, got a virtue signal.
This is how they know that we're amiable and we're nice people, is because you say thoughts and prayers.
All right, okay. That's usually the opposite now. And we're not on Twitter because Twitter's had to go caca. Not that that's any major loss because it's a bit of a shithole platform anyway.
Wait, what happened with Twitter?
I just decided, as I went live there, decided to go, yeah, we've got problems. And I'm clicking and trying to fix it, and then just, nah. They can catch up later, all the weirdos on there. It's only, do you know what it is? It's because I've got the option to go out in 3 different platforms. I'm the one of the people that I have to use it, even though I don't care. But yeah, it's not the end of the world. Anyway, on to more important things. So today we're here to talk about Deadstream, which just recently came out in Shudder. Premise of the story is a disgraced internet personality attempts to win back his followers by live streaming one night in a haunted house. When he accidentally pisses off a vengeful spirit, his big comeback event becomes a real-time fight for his life. Now, I have to say, first thing I had to do was go and look up the actor/director Joseph Winters to make sure he didn't fucking sound like that in real life. I just had to, because my word.
He's just the worst. He's like the personification of the worst version of a YouTuber. And but the thing is, he's like really funny too. Like that's what I loved it. He's witty, even though he's stupid. It's a little bit self-aware also, and so it could. Sorry, my voice is a little messed up. It could be sort of like an act that he's putting on, but like you just whenever he's on camera, which is the whole film, like you just feel like he is a personality rather than a person, which I kind of dig. Because I think what we do, you kind of have to be.
I get it. He's somebody that's dug himself into a hole.
Yeah.
He's created the persona, and it sounds like, because we get the whole backstory of what actually happened, the why he's in the situation he's in.
Yeah.
He's one of these bloggers that does insane stunts and gets the audience to bet him to do things, which is a smart thing to do on the internet. Yeah. Get random weirdos to bet you to do stuff that you're never going to meet and literally don't care if you die.
Always the best choice.
Yeah, that's a good career move.
There's not. That's why I never listen to audiences. Audiences suck.
Yeah, that's why I don't have any, because fucking needs them. This is more fun without an audience.
Certainly safer.
Even with this channel's small group, we've still managed to attract weirdos. It's brilliant. Yeah. They find a way. They actively go and look for you, and they get annoyed just because you exist. And you're like, what am I saying that is so horrible? You're sharing people's stories. You're a bastard. And you're like, right? Okay.
You're like, I should be ashamed of myself.
Yeah.
I'm doing anything. Okay.
Sorry for breathing the wrong way. But that's the joys when you have anonymity and the chance to not have any consequences for the way you behave. And that's internet culture. And we're still figuring a way around it. It's a new form of communication, believe it or not, in the scheme of humanity.
Oh, yeah.
And this guy personifies that to the extreme.
It's just it's so funny.
And the thing is, you've seen 100 podcasts like his, and it's now Twitter and TikTok, new platforms. The short form content's the worst for it because it's all about shock, awe, reaction.
Yeah.
And that's, if you get caught in that trap, your stuff, because eventually you can only go up so far and then you're going to fall off the edge. That's just the way. But there's always someone else ready to take your place because I haven't learned that lesson yet.
Yeah. Well, what's weird is like what he's doing is what exists, which is why it's so relatable, so wonderful, is that, you go to the top X videos in any video platform, and you're going to have, 99% of them just like this guy doing this type of weird stuff. It's always about, let's get the best looking thumbnail so that we can work the algorithm to get the most amount of views and the most amount of likes and get the most amount of return. And it's all about monetization, which is a running theme throughout this entire show.
Please
all about
sponsors,
trying
please
to get
sponsors, you know.
yeah, or
He's
don't please. I didn't mean to swear. I'm in a tense situation. You should have a 3 strike before you demonetize me. Like that's the only thing that matters is audience numbers and monetization because that's how you make and sponsorship.
but we're
Which
in this game ourselves. We know what it is.
mhm.
And thankfully we know the pitfalls. So I'd like to think we keep our heads and not jump down that, because if you jump down that road, you're, you know, I mean, short term success, you know, eventually you're going to burn out.
Yeah. Or
But
I could just fly over the pond and we could find like a haunted location and live stream the whole thing.
for
Huh?
fuck's sake, there's loads of you
Eh?
tripping over them here.
I'm telling you, we
Everywhere's
could
bloody
do it.
haunted here.
I've never heard
Some
of
ancient
anything
ghosts from
haunted.
100 wars have been fought. Like I've about 3 cemeteries around here. That was one thing I've been tempted to do. Was go around this local cemeteries, because there's like really ancient ones, you know, like
I
proper
love cemeteries.
Gothic-esque, you know,
Mm-hmm.
like the headstones are worn thin.
Yeah,
They're that
that's
old.
great.
These are on my doorstep, but I just I don't want to go into that territory, if that makes
Right.
sense, because where do you go once you start doing that? You
Oh
kind of
yeah,
become
yeah. Yeah, I mean, you become like just a tool for the audience's entertainment because you're no
yeah,
longer doing stuff for you, you're doing stuff for their entertainment.
yeah,
And I
and
think that's the
one
hugest uh, disconnect between everyone who's making content versus the popular people making content, because the popular people making content are making content for an audience's reaction, whereas people who are less than, stellar in numbers, they're doing it for themselves. And there's always that struggle between the two, because if you're just doing this for the audience, then it's just to make a buck. If this is how you're making your money, to survive, then okay, I get it. If you're doing it for some semblance of popularity, whatever that means, then you're just a douchebag,
it's
kind of
so
like this
fickle.
guy.
Yeah.
Yeah.
No, there was always a question. I remember when I first started delving into this and trying
Yeah.
to learn sort of the behind the scenes of it. I remember this guy, an influencer, he said, you have to ask yourself a question. Are you a creator or a performer?
Right. Exactly. Yeah.
And you have to answer that question honestly before you begin. If you're a performer, you're like this guy, Sean. You just go with the trend, the ebbs and flows. You'll be whatever the
Yep.
audience needs you to be. You don't stand for anything. You don't have a theme. You're just going with it, trying to keep going as long as possible. If you're a creator, you have a vision, you have an idea, and that's what drives you to make content. And then the audience may or may not happen, but it doesn't matter because you've still got that drive. So there's pros and cons to both, but you have to be honest with yourself what you are before you begin.
Yeah.
And then everything else falls into place.
Yeah.
But yeah, and the other thing is, because you and bloody Cameron been busting my balls lately, because I happen to let it slip that I'm not the biggest fan of found footage films.
Have you seen Lake Mungo?
Fuck off. Leave me
It's
alone.
another one.
Leave me alone. Why do you do this to me?
It's
These
so
are
fun.
sadists. You're just like, we'll send him this one and torture him and make him watch him and then watch him cry afterwards. Oh, God.
It's like being a little kid and finding like a bug and putting like a magnifying glass over it and just slowly like burning it with the sun.
I'm the
That's
bug,
what we're doing with you.
However, this one's really good. My complaint about found footage is the logic centers don't fire up, because what they effectively do is they replace the camera with camcorder footage, and there's no sense. Eventually, it just descends into chaos because they want to get every shot. The way this is presented makes perfect sense. Apart from that he has like 100 cameras. That's the only bit that... Like one of those things, a couple of hundred a pop.
That seemed kind of like logical to me, right? So if he's an established YouTuber with thousands and thousands and thousands of followers, then he's going to be able to afford a couple GoPros, and to set that up in that little streaming. I thought that was a wonderful way of giving us an in as viewers, saying, okay, well, that's why they have so many different views, rather than just assuming there's a bunch of other people there taking footage as well. I thought it was a wonderful way of setting up just the
funny.
framing.
He's run out of slots on his iPad
Yeah.
because he had that many cameras, and I'm like, how many bloody things has he got? And they're all charged. I'm like, man,
That's my complaint, is the length of time, because I have a GoPro that I've used to like capture game footage and stuff, and after like 2 hours it's gone, like it's dead, like it just can't hold a charge. And so I don't know how the hell he has this many that are maintaining a charge for presumably longer than 2 hours, even though it's a film length. But like, what? Where can I get these?
I know
I need this setup.
However, it still makes sense. You know what I mean? That's the only nitpick, where most found footage films are just like, why would you have the camera there? Why have you got the camera on? Why are you shaking the camera like this? And we're getting perfect footage. You know, that's my problem with it. But this, at least, it's in a context. There's logic behind it, and we're actually watching as the audience, because we're watching as if it's through the live stream. Brilliant. You know, I'm always ready to change my mind if something's presented to me in a way. You know, I'm not ready to write off a complete genre or anything else.
Right.
But when you kind of see the same beats over and over again, that's where you form an opinion. It's not like you watch one movie and go, I hate everything about it. You know, it's when you watch the third, fourth, fifth movie and it's all the same, that's where you build up your idea. But this actually managed to address that.
Do you have a ghost in your background? What is that sound?
Oh, that's Pip and Sparky.
Oh, okay.
That's what
it was like.
There.
In my head, it was just like a kid's tricycle that was just moving on its own, because it sounds like like of a wheel or something.
That's Sparky cracking up. Just
he's like,
I've already been in talking to him, telling him to calm down. He's like, I'm in here to do stuff, and he's just like,
he's like, you're not my dad. You just feed me. I'm gonna ruin your show.
The sun's out today, so they're hyper.
Everyone's a critic. Yeah. They're just talking smack.
Fun. But so we'll start off. We've got Sean Ruddy, and like we just said, he is utter cringe. He's so the worst of the worst. But he's not over the top, because we've seen it. In fact, we've seen it done worse.
Yeah.
He's actually quite restrained.
Which is so weird to think. That's not the extreme of this situation.
No. That was one thing that actually put me off, the thought of going on to YouTube or making videos. You see these overexcited, super hyper people.
Yeah.
And it's just like, I can't do that. I would give myself an aneurysm.
Yeah.
Everything's brilliant, wonderful. It's like, whoa.
It's like, calm down.
I'm exhausted.
Chill out. Take a deep breath. It's going to be okay. Yeah, they're crazy, man. Crazy.
But that's what makes this work. But what did you think of the initial sort of setup and coming in and exploring the house?
Man, I grew up in Salem, Utah, which is a tiny middle of nowhere town. And there are a bazillion houses like this, abandoned old pioneer homes. Like, this felt like it was in my backyard. Like, it felt like it was home to me. And so I immediately connected with the surroundings and the actual location. I thought, are you talking about the initial premise of like how he got in trouble, or are you talking about
no? But actually, just going through the house itself, because it was giving me the heebies.
I thought it was so good. It was like every ghost hunter.
It's dirty and disgusting, and mattresses, and I'm like, oh god.
When he first opens the door, he's like, spiders. Ooh! Like, he has this wonderful scream, which is just, I can't help but laugh every time he screams. So like, just him going in and he sees a butcher knife hanging on the wall for some reason. He's like, oh, that could fillet someone. Like, everything is just so shocking, and like, this is something icky and evil, even if it's just a butcher knife. Or like the painting on the wall says, help me. And he's like, that's not blood. That's paint. That's definitely paint, right? I love it. It was dirty, though. It looked gross. It was like a real location.
Obviously, because that's, I mean, I would take some special effects to get that done.
Yeah.
Fair play to him for, setting up and not cleaning. You know what I mean? I couldn't, because I'd have to clean the house first.
They're like, stop, it's supposed to look like this. But it's gross.
Oh, no. Well, let me have my corner. You know me, I'd be in a corner shivering, with a buster.
The ghosts are like, what are you doing?
The ghost would be like, please just go. Here, door open. Just get that crazy man out of here.
Oh, it could be like a spin-off where you actually suck up the ghosts in your vacuum and you take them
Do
home.
you know, don't, there's probably a bloody movie. I started a furniture series on this with different parts of, I've already got an armchair, a bed, and 2 beds. Like haunted furniture stuff. Someone's
Awesome.
going to suggest, I'm going to look for a vacuum cleaner haunted house movie or something,
Yep.
and
It's
then I'll
happening.
have to bloody watch it. Then I'll have to review it, and then I'll lose another brain cell. It's horror's a bit like the porn industry. Let's be honest. If somebody's thought of it, there's been a movie made.
Oh yeah,
That's what's so
absolutely.
mental. If you've thought about it, somebody's either already made a movie, a book, or something, or they're in process. It's anything goes is brilliant.
Oh yeah.
But yeah, he's setting up the camera live stream. The only thing is, it was a bit choppy because obviously he can't use established platforms, or else he get in trouble.
Right.
So that bit was well, it's not easy building that from scratch, let's be honest. So fair play to him. That's the only thing that kind of took you out of it a bit. If you had to maybe copy the chat from somewhere and just use it beat for beat, I mean, you go to any live stream with any sort of following and the random shit that appears in the chat tab, people just come on and go, blah, 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 and you're like, what are you talking? You know what I mean?
I love the interaction though that he did with them. Like even when they're busting his chops, they're like, "In high school, did they call you crater face?" He's like, "No, it was acne then." Like it's so funny.
Yeah, that's what I mean. It just comes out of nowhere, but it was still very, very tame for the internet because anyone who's been a YouTube for a while knows that this is just the tip of the iceberg. It's just so funny that normally movies try to go over the top, but this is so held back.
Well, that's the crazy part about it because I think it's presenting itself as if it is over the top. But if you've ever actually like watched some of these crazy live streams, then you know that it's not at all. Like it's actually kind of tame because usually people are like talking racist shit or like talking, sexist or just like throwing shit out at you. And like sometimes it gets crazy. So
and someone will just come in randomly hate on you for no reason, or we'll have a completely separate conversation about nothing.
Yeah.
And plus the bots, he didn't include any bots, which that's why when you get to a certain size, you need moderators because bots are
I don't like that would be interesting because it was going by so fast. Like in my head, I was like, oh, I got to come back and like pause and just look at these comments and see because that's a lot of information just from like a filmmaker standpoint saying I need to add all this in to make it feel real. What all those comments were, were they all gibberish or like was half of them like real or where did they get them from? Or, I think that would be interesting to talk to him about that because that seems like it would be a headache because there was tons of comments just flying by throughout the whole film,
Yeah, he could have just copied and pasted a normal conversation because that's the way live streams go. And then people have their own conversations within the live stream while the thing's going on. You know what I mean? It is the Wild West. It's chaos. But like I said, it's just so reserved. It's funny because he tried to be over the top, but at the same time, we know the reality. And it's like, okay, mate, you're beating it up. But yeah, he's got this all set up. There was the potential that this could have dragged. You know what I mean? It was starting to get the wee bit of, oh God, is this going to be like an hour and a half of just him going spooky woo woo sort of thing?
Yeah.
Then Chrissy appears.
Oh, Chrissy.
What did you think of her initial appearance?
Well, immediately I was like, oh, she's definitely a ghost. She has to be a ghost. And then when they started talking back and forth, I was like, okay, well, maybe she is just a super fan. But then when she's, like they found the there's so many hints about how she was a ghost. Like she has a pin on her chest, on her jean jacket that says "dead inside," hinting that she's actually some sort of supernatural entity. And then when they were about to do the Ouija, and he was like saying something like it's so stupid that they're trying to like collect souls or something like that. She's like, it's not stupid. She was getting really like super defensive and trying to get him to read the poetry, and he's like, that's dumb. And she's like, it's not dumb. So they were dropping hints the whole time, just in case. But yeah, as soon as
same time, because this is kind of based in paranormal normal activity.
Mm-hmm.
Sort of say, bumps and crashes and shadows and stuff.
Yeah.
And that's another thing about found footage. Normally, the ghost is awful.
Mm-hmm.
So for her to appear crystal clear, and be tangible and able to touch, and the audience to see her, and the fact they had the audience vote, does she stay or go?
Yeah. Yeah. That was so funny.
Would that have
We
been the
move a
end of the
pole.
movie? If the audience had voted her out,
Yeah.
would that have been the end of the movie?
I mean, I'm sure they would have come up with some other, if it was like a real life interaction, they would have come up with some other reason to keep her in there. But like, I thought it was so fucking clever the way that they ended up like rounding back around. This entire thing is about, growing an audience so that you have monetization and you're not, you get sponsorship and stuff, so you get more money. That's all Mildred was trying to do too. I thought that was so great that they round it, like, instead of a ghost collecting souls. Well, why is the ghost collecting souls? To get stronger. Well, why? To have a following. Like, oh shit. All this time we've all been living ghost lives. Like,
Yeah. What about the actual reveal? Because it just happened like that.
right.
They're both in it together, and you're kind of like, God, is she going to get killed first? Or something. Because there was
Yeah.
still, because the longer it went on, the less you were starting to go, Apart from the Latin reading part, that was the
Right.
most
Yeah.
suspicious part of it all. But then it carried on afterwards, as if everything was fine.
Yeah. And she just run off and disappear.
But
Like
after
go
biting
to
him in the neck, she just like, arf,
Yeah. Like, that's, of course, your first clue. Okay, well, I mean, not the first clue, but the definitive clue saying, okay, she's definitely a ghost. Like, no one sinks their teeth into you unless you're a monster. Or Mike Tyson. One of the two.
Yeah.
Take your ear off. But I thought it was great when he accidentally killed her, and then all of a sudden her body's gone. And you're sort of thinking, like, I think she might be a ghost, but then if she had a body, could she be a ghost? But then he hit her and fell down, so she must be human, and now she's dead. And then her body's gone. Did the ghost take her body? Like, I love that it didn't, like, overtly, you can argue whether it did or not, but whether it didn't overtly say, she's a ghost, everyone. You were kind of along the ride.
Mm-hmm.
She could be a fucking super fan. Like, those people exist. I've had people like come on streams and just end up like feeling that they know you because you've done it for so long and they've watched you for so many hours. They feel like you're their close friend, and then they become kind of obsessed with you for a little while. And
Lovely.
I can see it.
Yeah, and she had the right eyes and all
Yeah.
she actually played it to perfection. Was then like the interaction, the audience is interacting throughout this. It just gave it that extra dimension.
Mm-hmm.
Just so much fun. But yeah, everything then just ramped up. I mean, from that moment of, because thankfully I'd have been, if it had just been those two going around the house and bumps and scares, I'd have been bored and written this
Mm-hmm.
off
Hell yeah.
as failed tap. But that minute from she bites him in the neck, he stabs her in the neck,
God.
backwards. And then he's more worried about his sponsors and getting cancelled.
It's so funny. The whole time he's worried about his sponsors and monetization. It's just so great from
But
a
I've seen
creator
YouTubers
standpoint.
like that, and they're so careful with their words, and they're actually painful to watch because they're so worried about hitting the tripwire, and you just can't watch them. That's why I'm just me. Don't try to be anything, just as is.
Mm-hmm.
Give an opinion. You can take it or not take it. Not going to tell you to
but
watch or
it's
not
not with
watch something.
malice, I
But I'm
mean,
not going to sit here and carefully watch whatever the words of the day are in case I say I'm in the wrong order,
yeah,
which is illegal now, and then the next day something else will be illegal. You know what I mean? You can't live your life like that. But he is even with his life in danger. And seeing something like that's probably the most freakiest thing in real life anybody could do is stab someone in the neck with a like and kill them and have their bleeding out. And he's still like, oh, don't cancel me. Somebody get here.
yeah. I love how reserved he always is with everything. Like, he had at the very beginning, he had one swear word slip, and then he apologized for it and begged not to be demonetized. And then later on, he's like using language as if he was a little Mormon child or something. Like, in Utah, we're filled with Mormons here, and instead of saying like asshole, they say ah, or instead of saying fuck, they say fudge. Stuff like that. he was doing throughout the whole stream just to sort of protect that, precious sponsorship and monetization. It's so fake. I can't yes, there's a level of just being, gratuitously bad language for bad language's sake. But when it's appropriate, when it's real, let it fly because it's real. You're in the moment. If anyone's going to put your fists, put up a fucking fuss about, how you're speaking, turn it off. It's a choice. You don't have to freak out. Just do something else.
I'm always more concerned about those type of people because there's something dark inside them. If all it takes is a few sweary words to set them off or think that they're in the path of destruction, there's something seriously cracked in their head, And we've seen this is all through human history. There's always been that type, that the good guy badge, the good living type, the virtuous one. They build this persona that these words is all it takes to crumble their entire world.
Yeah.
And they're more afraid of what they'll do if they're led down the path than anything else, because most people just brush it off and crack on. I don't know, man. It's just it's a sad way to exist.
Well, it's the same mentality
to pander to.
Yeah. It's the same mentality as people who during the pandemic would go up and say, you need to have your mask over your nose, or you have to have it on tighter, just
you've got to wear too.
Yeah, feel the need to police other people's actions. It's the most, as a kid growing up, you think, oh, when I'm an adult, everyone else is going to be adults. Adults are all rational human beings. They know everything because they've grown up and they have learned, and they're all, it's all going to be great. It's only when you're a kid that you have these shitty other kids that are trying to beat you up or, put you down or, just start stomping your neck. And then you grow up and you realize, no, that's humanity.
Yeah, it just gets worse.
There is a large a portion of this population that are just shitheads trying to be offended and then reacting to the offense that they manufactured. Or worse, they're offended on other people's behalf. What are you fucking doing?
It's there's not enough for me to get offended. I've got to do it for someone else now. And
how dare you talk about that native person? Shut the fuck up.
Meanwhile, you and the native person having a beer together going, what is wrong with your head?
Exactly. Oh, man.
We get all... It's happening over here, too, and it's freaking pissing me off. It's well, if my mates who are whatever don't get offended, then you shouldn't be.
Yeah.
I know, I'm not going to list... And that's sort of thing people do is list, I've got a blah, 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 blah. Fuck off. That's not why. If you're my mate, you're my mate. If we get on, we get on. I can upset and annoy people just by being me without having to actually narrow it down. So usually people that can stomach being my friend are pretty tolerant.
Yeah.
Let's put it like that.
It's a chore.
Yeah. But, some people have to take up a mantle. What can I say?
But this all relates directly to the film, which is so wonderful because you do every once in a while see those comments creep in where they're talking shit about him or they're trying, they're threatening to leave, and he immediately reacts. It's like, no, don't leave. I'll do this. I'll go do that. He is playing to the worst element of humanity of what we're speaking to. He's trying to maintain that attention and balance of, I want to be wild and offensive, but not too wild and offensive because I don't want to offend anyone. It's this crazy desire that will never actually work. You're always going to offend some bitch because people are bitches.
And some people, if they know that you'll react, they'll just string you along, and that's half the game. You know what I mean? They'll just have fun. They'll leave anyway after they've done. After they've pushed you to your limit, they're off anyway. So, and then meanwhile, you've pissed off your core audience.
Yeah,
who have actually stuck by you from the start and put you where you were. Once you start sort of trying to cater to the fringe or the randoms that come in, it's the whole trendy bar thing. So there's a thing back home that went on for ages where there'd be a local bar, local pub. People go in for a pint during the week. Maybe a Wednesday if there's a football match or something on, people go and have a couple of pints, watch. Saturday they'd sit and have some, and then and there'll be the Saturday night crowd. And then what these bars are trying to do is get the trendy crowd to come in. So they start changing the decor, raising the prices, bringing in all the stupid cocktails and stuff. And then they start pushing out the regular base. The trendy crowd comes in, and it's really busy for a month. Then the trendy crowd move on to the next place they're looking for, but they've pissed off the regular customers, then the bar closes.
Yeah.
I've seen that happen time after time again. And it's the same with us. You know, the minute you start placating to those type of people who aren't really, they're not interested in you. They're not interested in what you do. They just want to see if they can push your buttons and get you to do things.
Yeah.
And then they'll get what they get out of you, and then they'll move on to the next one. It's the same with this whole nonsense with franchise and stuff. You know, the ones that are poking, they just want to see how far they can get away with, and then they're on to the next thing. They don't care. And this guy just represents what you don't do.
Yeah. I mean, he's successful until he's not.
Yeah.
Until the end. But yeah.
We're also getting this backstory filtered through this story.
Yes.
Of what happened.
Why he was demonetized.
And it just turns out that, you know, every challenge he just took on and got more and more extreme, bordering on the legal side of things, just to get clicks. And then eventually he picks a fight with a homeless person, pays a homeless person to fight him. I can't remember if did he stick him in hospital?
I think the homeless person died.
Or died. It was something bad. You know what I mean?
It was like bad. But he was like, I didn't know he was sick or something.
Yeah.
Like but the thing is, there was a thing called bum fights. Like that was.
I remember that. Yeah.
That was a thing. It was insane. I can't imagine why anyone would do it, except that they did, and he just did it in this, and so it felt so real and relatable to reality. You know, rather than just being some weird, fanciful, you know, horror film trope. Like, no, that's real life. That did happen, and people got fucking hurt.
Do you think timing has a massive impact on this film and how it relates? If this had come out in the early 2000s, people would be like, no, the internet can't be that bad. Nah, you're making stuff up.
You're right. I think you're right, yeah.
But it's released today, where before I've been through, I don't know if I've been through the worst of it, but pretty close.
Oh, I hope. I fucking hope. It's got to swing back sometime. This is crazy. Yeah,
it's just ramped up to such a degree that you're looking at this going, yeah, oh, I remember that. Oh, that reminds me of blah, blah, blah. Oh, that reminds me of, yeah, oh, I've seen one of them guys. You're just not surprised. I think that's the only thing, because in fairness to this, at least for a paranormal investigation stream, at least he has a sense of humor, because those guys are notorious for not having one at all.
Yeah.
They're super serious about what to do. Any paranormal group, or if you've seen their videos, oh my god, they're almost like religionists.
Oh, for sure they are. Yeah,
they are fundamental religionists in terms of what to do, and dare you even make a joke, because they will dogpile on you.
Yeah, it's the most important thing ever to discover this X. And yeah, I was watching this show called this series called Hellier, and the entire 2 seasons, nothing actually happens, but they make it as if it is the most important thing every single episode that is happening, but literally nothing has ever happened in the show. So like, I'm sitting here watching, like, just tearing it apart because it's pure garbage. But the people who believe, who really are into this stuff, they're probably on the edge of their seat, biting their nails, like just going crazy, like, what's going to happen next? Ah! So yeah, they are insane with how, no self-deprecating humor, nothing. But this guy, Sean, he's 100% a real goofy ass person, which is just wonderful.
It's so fun. What do you think? I've drawn a bit of a parallel between Chrissy, who turns out, the story is, it's Mildred is the ghost. She killed herself after God, what was it? There's a whole backstory, but she ended up killing herself, and then anyone that's come to the house since has, been killed as well.
Yeah, I think she was like lonely, and she couldn't, like, no one would like love her or something. Her dad wouldn't let her
God, that's right. She was having correspondence with somebody.
Yeah,
there's this whole back and forward, and then he jilted her. Then she hung herself, like, because nobody would marry her or something like that. It was
and then other people started dying in the house, and it became this whole haunted house thing.
Very 19th century sort of, mentality. But I drew a parallel with the Deadites out of Evil Dead.
100%.
Kind of say that the inspiration was there.
It went straight up from like Evil Dead 1, which is the serious version of it, where you walk into a scary house and weird stuff starts happening, and then it sort of goes, sort of crazy, to Evil Dead 2, where Mildred is biting his balls in the closet, which was
That was brilliant. I was going to talk
hilarious.
about
So fucking stupid and funny. And then at the end, he goes to Army of Darkness, where it's just a bunch of crazy creatures after him. I was just like, this is the best homage to not only internet culture, but also like, the goofiness that horror films can be and still be awesome and scary. Like, this is a great melding between them all. So you're spot on with that.
Yeah. That's why my favorite paranormal entity is demon.
Yeah.
Because a demon has personality and purpose.
Yeah.
That's why I'm not a massive fan. I can tolerate zombie flicks for things, heads exploding and stuff, but the mindless, numb creature bores the shit out of me.
Yeah.
Unless there's something in behind pulling the strings. But very rare you get to see that.
What did you think about the head explosion in this one?
Oh, it was stupid.
It was like oatmeal or something.
Yeah, it was that's what I mean. It was a lot of fun. What they did is they took the paranormal stuff, because if this had been paranormal investigations or activity, it'd been boring as hell.
Mm-hmm.
But they took that up to the first, sort of finish off the first act. Then they just ramped it up, and then they made it tangible. And the fact that Chrissy, was messing with him at the same time, because if she's the bit where she's hanging and he's trying to sneak up using the camera, it's like she can see you too. It's not like she's.
It's so
not
funny.
aware.
It's so stupid. Just the choices he makes are so ridiculous in every turn.
Apparently, that actress did all the stunts except the falling down the stairs. The only bit that got a stunt double in was the falling down the stairs. But she did all the swinging, the jumping, getting knocked about. She was actually in. She was actually in for all that. Like I said, when I went for I had to find one interview just to make sure that this guy was not this guy.
So it was him and his end. Yeah, it was him and his wife.
Yeah.
Joseph and Vanessa Winter, and then the Chrissy was Melanie Stone. Yeah, she did great. I thought I really, really liked her. Because there was moments where you're like, oh, she's this cute little super fan. That's awesome that he has a fan that devoted. And then she starts doing the Deadite stuff where she's like jumping in the air at him and stuff and biting his balls, and you're just like, oh, that's great. Like that is just 100% so good.
And just messing with him, it was just Brent. God, we'll have to talk about that bath. Good.
Yeah, still like pond water or something. They kept calling
it. Tar. It was God. It was just
filthy. Why? Yeah. I mean, he didn't voluntarily go into it, if I recall. He was like possessed at the time or something, and then he fought the possession off. He just woke up in it, and that's when you had that fucking zombie creature coming out from underneath it. But yeah, it's just gross. I mean, I'm sure it was just like ink or black.
Oh, I know that there, but still, the way
in your head, it's just like, ugh.
I was able to suspend disbelief and jump in.
Yeah.
Do you know what I mean? And it's very rare, especially in these type of movies, to do that. But this one, I just jumped in.
With it too. The whole setting was so grimy. I think that helps, just sort of pull you into the moment, because it felt disgusting already. And now he's sitting in disgustingness that was there from the very beginning. Like, who knows how old that is? Who knows what the hell diseases or whatever is in that?
What died in it?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Nah.
Oh, man. Awesome. I had to go and get a shower after I watched this movie.
It was that bad.
That just triggered my OCD. Like, nobody's business. I'm just like, oh, God, no.
Give this man a shower before they kill him.
What were your views on? I thought it was a bit. This might have been the overconvoluted part of the movie. The whole ritual being uncovered, and people jumping in, and they just happen to find the previous housekeeper.
Right. The old
which
lady.
is like, what? When the hell were you a housekeeper when you were 5?
No, she was old. She wasn't that old.
Yeah,
she would have been like just a vegetable if she was still alive.
What did you think of that whole uncovering of the ritual thing? It was
I mean, they had to throw it in somehow so that it explained that that room was protected the way it was for a reason, and like I don't know, like I don't hate it, but there's only so much you can do talking about how old a house is, and then there's somehow still survivors that can give you information about it.
Mm-hmm.
Like that's the only side of it that I'm just kind of like,
Yeah, it was
I've
a
met
bit,
some old timers, but
I know what they're trying to do. Like the whole bring up the camera or people jumping on video chat. That was like if I had to set something like this up, I think
mhm,
without showing any branding, it would work better. I think, but the bringing up the crystal clear cameras,
right,
you know, took me out of it a bit. Maybe because I'm a YouTuber, maybe because I've done this for a while, and I can see how maybe the layman doesn't see it.
hmm
Be interesting, folks, in the chat. Obviously, if you're not a creator and you don't you don't know the backup or what happens in behind the scenes of creating videos and how YouTube works and streaming. How did you find it? Because, like I said, we're in the weeds, so we look at the technicalities, going, no, that's all right. No, and that's unfortunately that part of my brain will never switch off because I'm too in the zone with this stuff.
yeah.
Did not see it. What did you think? Let us know because it'd be interesting to see what a person from the outside thought of how it was represented.
Yeah, because it was very easy. Like someone just sent him a link. He clicked the link, and suddenly it was the feed. That is not that easy. Like if you're
Mm-hmm.
using a platform like you're using right here, it becomes easier. If you use it like the setups I use, it's very difficult. You have, there's a whole lot of little things you got to do instantly in the moment. I could never do it mobile in the moment in a live stream in a haunted
Oh no,
house.
no, it's
Never would have happened. So, first of all, what kind of goddamn Wi-Fi is this guy got?
I know
To be
it's amazing.
like he has the best 5G super wide band fucking whatever. Like,
Do you know what I was
boy,
expecting? The old style satellite dishes
yeah,
that people used to put in their back garden and took up like half the
yeah,
back garden.
yes.
If you had brought one of them out and stuck it on top of the car, I think
Oh, that would have been cool. Yeah,
the
like a
Streamer
Starlink or something.
5000, something we hadn't seen.
Yep.
Wrap a bit of tinfoil around it or something, and make it doink. That might have made a bit more sense.
Yeah, because it's never addressed at all. All of these other videos that are like this are not live streamed. They go out and film it and then come
Mhm.
home and edit it all together and then release it. This, because it's live streamed the whole time, you have to think about battery power, internet connection, consistency. It would have been much more realistic if they would have had the feed cut out or sort of
Yeah,
drop in quality to adjust for the
but
bandwidth.
that's what I'm asking. We're in the weeds. We
Yeah.
podcast. So we see all this. That's why I'm asking for people to put comments
hmm
as a consumer as opposed to a creator. If you're not familiar with the whole backdrop
Oh yeah.
and how this works, how did it present to you guys? Because obviously we're like, that's wrong, that's wrong, that's wrong. It's like we're talking to dog soldiers about military maneuvers, like that's wrong, that's wrong. If you know, you know.
Yeah. Yeah.
And if you're in that zone, it's hard to come out of it. So was I taken out of it because of my experience as a podcaster? Or does it work in normal audiences? I don't know, because
Yeah.
it can't not be me for that moment.
Yeah, I mean, of course, anyone's going to speak for themselves. I can't, if I didn't know all this stuff because I did it, I would have no idea. And so I wouldn't even think about it. I would just be like, oh,
Mm-hmm.
yeah, that's something that can happen until you try to do it. And you're like, how come this isn't working? Like that's why it's so, if you've never done anything before, you're like, how do I stream to the internet? Like that, now, of course, you just use your phone and you can do it directly and it's not a big deal. But if you want to have other people with you, if you want to have
Oh, that's when it gets
intros and
fun.
outros, and then it becomes infinitely more difficult. And so, yeah, if you don't know, then you just think it's like easy. But if you have done it, then that's really difficult, and you have to actually
Yeah.
you got to
You just have to watch this channel from its inception.
yeah.
And every bump along the road, fucking bump, bump, bump,
Oh
bump.
yeah.
We're sitting here now. Oh yes, we can talk together, and things aren't blowing up and exploding. Oh, great!
Yeah.
It's so easy. Go back 100 odd episodes. See some of the shit that we had to do. Oh man,
It's true, and it's real. It's a real issue.
I
So
still
I don't
had
know.
fun with this. It didn't take me out completely. It's
Yeah,
just me nitpicking.
yeah.
but I was still invested enough to nitpick.
Mm-hmm.
Because normally these type of movies, I'm switched off going, fuck, is it over yet?
Yeah.
And I'm not. I'm actually engaged in the, hold on a minute, how do you get that to happen, or how do you get that? No, I'm actually still going along with the plot.
Mm-hmm.
The third act, the third and final act, this is where it kind of just balls deep, straight in there. Any sense of trying to uncover something's out the window.
Yeah. It's pure survival at this point. And
then,
it's not even survival, it's survival against ridiculousness.
Yeah. Did it come to a satisfying ending, or did it end into farce? It's a very thin line between the two.
I think the problem is I like, is the sort of schlocky Army of Darkness stuff.
Did it fit in with us?
I personally think it did, because it was a slow evolution. It wasn't like a black and white. If Chrissy wasn't in the middle to bridge the gap between just a paranormal experience,
that would have been
versus, then you wouldn't have. It would have been ridiculous. It would have been like Sesame Street on acid. Just craziness. But which is also something I'd like to see.
Oh god, what was that one? Shit. VHS.
Which one? They've got a couple.
The one where the guy gets his eyeball replaced.
Oh, I don't think I've seen that one.
Oh god, man, that's the worst example of where this could have went.
Really?
Oh, you have to. Yeah, I'm gonna get you back. Watch that one. Fucking suffer.
It's your turn. All right, I'll take it
out. The one where the guy gets his eyeball replaced. Oh my god, that was horrendous, and that's where that gave me flashbacks to that movie towards the end. But yeah, the Chrissy character is what made this movie different. Her appearance and the fact that she was crystal clear rather than some spooky thing, and had personality and was messing with him the whole way, is what gave this a whole new twist and made it fun. And the screaming. But I'm encountering, like, even when he got outside, like throwing the spark plugs and stuff, like we see him at the start, I'm throwing my spark plugs away.
Yeah.
I'm like, dude, you're going to be picking them up in half an hour's time.
I was so frustrated with that, because, like, it's the stupidest trope ever. Even if you don't want to leave and you feel like you have to do that to keep yourself there, leave them the fuck in, because you're going to need them at some point, no matter what. Because you have to go home after this. Like, you're going to go hunting in the woods for your fucking spark plugs to go home? Like, that's stupid. So it was that, and the dropping the key into the grate, into the crawl space. I was just like, this is so, like, over the top stupid. No one, and not even as a setup, would that be a thing. That's the stupidest thing you could ever possibly do. You have to leave at some point. What are you going to, like, Kool-Aid man it out of the haunted house? Just fucking bust through a wall? Oh, yeah. Give me a break. You have to leave, fuckhead. Like,
well, he threw himself out a window. In fact, I was waiting, because I saw that thrasher.
Yeah.
What do you call it? It is a thrasher, isn't it? That rusty thing that you put over the field.
I don't know what you're referring to. Are you referring to like a grain tractor thing, or?
Yeah. There's one of those outside the house when he looked out the window. And I was just waiting. I'm like, okay, I wonder who's getting impaled in that.
Yeah.
And I was like, oh, come on. Because when he flies out the window, he misses it. I'm like, I thought that was going to be it,
I thought that leap out the window was so funny, though, from the exterior cam. Yeah, I was just like, oh, shit, that looks like it actually hurt. Like, even as a stick, because you see his legs as he rolls after he hit. So whatever was down there, he bounced a little bit. Like, there was...
Yeah, that was... Yeah, that was kind of... I thought that was a setup, the Thrasher thing, but no.
I'm surprised at that, too. Like, you'd think that if they're going to incorporate it, then they would use it. I mean, they did so many little tiny setups like that already that were then, ultimately exploited. You would think, because at this point, it's camp. Like, we've gone through the potential scary to the really weird scary to now it's just like, this is silliness, but it's still entertaining. You would think they would go to that direction, but they just left it.
I mean, just budgetary, try and get the effects and all set up.
Yeah, that's true.
Yeah, could have been that. Or maybe it was already there and they didn't think about it, and it's just me, my twisted brain going, people can be impaled in that.
You're like, if I owned that, I would impale people.
It's like when they set up with a cleaver, it's like something's getting chopped with that.
Yep.
Better do. You better not be pointing to that for no reason.
Oh man. Such good parts. I love that the cop guy when he came back, the tall man, the corner man, or whatever they ended up calling him. But I thought he was Max Lowland, the cop. He played by Mary Collins. That dude's name is Mary? Oh no, it was Jason K. Wixom as cornerman cop corpse. Okay. I was going to say Mary's a girl's name, not a boy's name. I thought he was great. He reminded me of Sam Elliott a little bit.
Yeah, that's what I was thinking. Just that's probably what he's based on.
But that's what like Utah ranchers, Utah sort of, Hicks as I refer to them. That's what they look like. Like that's a real thing. Like that's their demeanor. They're very reserved. They don't show emotions, and they're always like, brr, 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 brr. Like that's real. That's not just like a Hollywood trope. And like I live all around them, and you lived around them for a while. I mean, it's weird, man. It's because from the outside looking at it, you're like, that's a stupid, I'm a Western sheriff, but no, that's how people actually are here. Like you go to
I got my eyes open to that. That's one thing, because I talk about obviously Cameron hates Westerns and the connotation behind him, but it's him. Yeah. He plays obviously.
I didn't know that.
Yeah.
I don't like him.
Native American heritage. He kind of draws the.
Oh, I can see why he would. Yeah.
But at the same time, when we were watching him, this was a foreign alien land.
Mm-hmm.
Do you know what I mean? And then going to Utah, it's right there, frontier towns.
Yeah.
You go to Ogden, it's a frontier town with exactly the same sort of buildings. Down to Provo, it's the same thing. It's you look at those towns, you're like, holy shit, this is like any movie ever.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? The reality sets in of, oh, this still exists. Okay. There you go. It's based on something.
Yeah. It's not just made up, huh? I thought that was a set. Nope, people live there.
What did you think of the whole idea that for him to win or to survive, he had to effectively steal her ghosts, steal her followers?
Right.
Like you we're talking about, you alluded at the start, the fact that he equated this to being, oh, this is a rival channel.
Yeah.
I'm going to cancel you by stealing your support. And that does happen. That YouTube on YouTube crime.
I've never heard that phrasing before.
Yeah. YouTubers can be the most toxic arseholes on the planet.
Oh, yeah. Oh, yeah.
When somebody's building a following, they automatically think, because people forget that people can watch more than one person.
Right.
And if they see somebody else up and coming and not doing it their way or as a rival, they will do everything to take that person down. They'll send their fans to review, go in and dislike all their videos or to jump into the chat.
Weird.
That happens as well. You have rival streamer because they decide to have beef.
Mm-hmm.
And I hate that manufactured fucking aggro shit.
Hell yeah.
Especially 90s, 2000s rock stars when they have a beef. It's all manufactured. Then 20 years later, they're on tour together, because they need money. It's like,
I mean, that was the whole hip hop culture back in the day. East v West or neighborhood versus neighborhood. Yeah. It's certainly weird. I think in this, they're pushing so hard to try to make the correlation between Sean as the streamer versus Mildred wanting to be a sort of popular person and hence a version of a streamer. I thought it was a little bit strange because, she gets more power by the more souls she steals. And, it's I don't know. I think it was an interesting avenue to take. I don't know if I would have chosen it if I was making this film, but I would hate it. It was just weird.
It seemed like a bit of a, because he came up with the idea of, I'm going to cancel you, or you're looking for a following. There's two ways that could have went. Either he invited her on the podcast, and then we could have had like a shocker type thing where she actually invaded the internet, you know what I mean?
Right, yeah.
And got a following, or he could have given her a segment.
Oh, yeah.
Where she read out her poetry. And then we could have had a weekly live stream of her reading out her poetry.
That would have been a funny ending, I think.
You know what I mean? Her as Mildred, in full makeup, just, and here's my weekly segment,
Yeah.
reading out
That could be.
but that would have been to me a sensible ending. But obviously they didn't want to be sensible here.
No. Yeah. I mean, even when he wins, he realizes quickly thereafter that he lost.
Yeah. So that's what he does. They find out the ritual. The little box thing they find, and then he finds the key, and then realizes the finger. So he has to offer something. And who chops off the useful finger?
Man, pinky all the way every day.
Nobody specified the amount, so if you're going to do it,
it's just like the last digit of the pinky finger or something.
Yeah, but he goes through the ritual. She gets. How did they get rid of her? What happened to her? Was that when her?
I'm not. I mean, I think she was.
I forget that bit of her actually ending.
Yeah, I'm not entirely sure because it was like 2 weeks.
Because it was nuts. It just was going 100 times. A minute. Like there's no breathing space or brevity in the last act. It was just boom, boom, go, 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 cram it all in.
Just survival mode. Yeah, I'm not entirely sure, to be honest. Like,
I forget.
It's been a little bit. I just remember he defeated her, and he was like, "Yeah, it's done." And then all of a sudden, the other stuff, shows up.
Yeah, all over goes like, "Daddy," because he owns them. But then that wouldn't be terrifying if he owned the ghosts.
Well, and that's the other thing. Is this another parallel of his audience is pushing him to do ridiculous stuff? Is that what Mildred's audience was doing? Her ghost captors or whatever, her audience. Now, is he just created a new audience that he has to cater to?
We should have got a bit of that. That would have been fun.
Yeah.
If I had a bit of Mildred talking about how she has to please her audience or grow her audience, if I had had a bit of that,
would have been interesting.
That could have been, like I said, there's just a bit. If I had went a different direction, I think it would have been more sensible, satisfying ending, because considering the pace of this up to the final act, the third pace just seemed like rushed and threw everything in just to be as insane as possible, which fair enough for a goofy comedy, you know what I mean? Obviously the movie wasn't taking itself that serious. They wanted to make something fun, and it wasn't trying to be super scary, because once you got the jump scare in the middle, that was it. You know what I mean? You just went along for the ride.
Yeah.
And that's where I put that last point of, did it descend into farce, or was it a satisfying ending to the way this movie went? I'm still in two minds, I haven't.
Yeah, I was gonna say, for me, I'm okay with the ending. It's one of those things where this is a film that's not meant to be overanalyzed or nitpicked. It's like a roller coaster. You're supposed to go on the ride, and if you enjoyed the totality of the ride, then awesome. If you didn't, then oh well, go watch something else. I feel like this was a fun ride. Like the whole time, it was elements that were calling out to me, saying, "This is fun. This is great. This is what you like. This is something that you think is funny." And it was just connecting with me in so many different story beats, even all the way down to the fact that he wrote his own score for his haunted house exploration.
We didn't talk about that yet.
Unbelievably awesome. And the actual writer and director of this, he had always wanted to write his own score for a film, but he always felt he would be a pretentious douchebag because he's not John Carpenter. Who else could do it? And so he ends up doing it in the story for his own story. And that's how we got around that little trope. I thought it was great. Like little things like that just made me feel so good while I was watching this. And then all the connections to Evil Dead. And it was just like, I loved it.
Without overhamming it, that was the thing.
Yeah. Well,
they took the elements, but they made it into this story and the ridiculousness that fitted in this universe. And for a low budget movie, I thought there was more care and attention went into this than half the sludge that's being pumped out of Hollywood. I went yesterday. No, today's Sunday. I went on Friday, sorry, to see Halloween Ends. And oh my God.
I've seen too many
for
reviews. I don't want to watch
$20 million movie. Oh, oh, and you're just walking out going, huh?
Yeah.
At least this, I was giggling and laughing, and for a fraction of any budget that was spent, there was you could feel the heart in a movie. That's why I like reviewing independent,
Yeah.
quirky, delving, stay away from the mainstream stuff and get into all these random ones, because horror fans, I think, we're more forgiving of the limitations of a low budget movie
Mm-hmm.
if you can sense there's feeling behind it. And I definitely got it with this movie.
Yeah. I mean, arguably, that's the core of horror films, is the independent side of it, because you are literally just trying to tell a personal story, whether it's something you made up or whether it's something you feel like you experienced at some point, or whether you're just trying to entertain people. It's your passion that's going into it. When it's a studio project, then they're just trying to make the most money and cater to the greatest audience in order to make the most money. And so it's a completely different, focus. I think little independent films like this are the best and arguably only way to go with almost any genre, because at least then that it's because it's one or two people who really have a message that they want to share, and they really are just going to put everything they can into it to see it happen, to see it realized. And I think these two, this husband and wife team, did a great job with this.
Oh,
Whether or not you
absolutely.
agree with particular effects or directions or whatever, they had a story they wanted to tell. They went out and they fucking told it, and it was funny and it was entertaining, and I just enjoyed myself the whole time. I was laughing the whole time. It was
Oh yeah,
great.
me too. I was having a blast. Yes, we're picking this apart because we're reviewers. That's what we
Yeah.
do. I mean, purely, or else this would be a 5-minute episode going,
Yeah.
did you like it? Yeah. Okay. See you next week. Do you know what I mean?
We should do that with a couple of them. Do we like it? Nope. And then just turn it off.
Yep. Bye.
We should do that for the Halloween kills or ends or whatever.
I wasted 20 minutes of my life talking about it. The only reason I wasted more time is because people come into the chat. I come in actually after I started that. Yeah, I talked about it. So I was actually just talking to people in the chat at the end of my review.
That's
or else
good.
I'd have been finished in like 10 minutes going, yeah, it was a pile of wank. Fucking don't waste your time. But this, I was on board. Yes, we've nitpicked at it, but that's what we do. And it's only tiny little things. And some of the things we've picked at is from a technical aspect, which if you're not a streamer, if you're not a YouTuber, you're not going to pick up.
Yeah.
You're not. You're not going to pick up the logistics of things. Same as if you watch a war movie and you're not a soldier, you're not going to pick it up. If you watch a medical drama and you're not a nurse or a doctor, you're not going to pick up things. That's just the way of it. But I really enjoyed this movie. I had a lot of fun. I enjoyed the beats. I saw at the beginning where it could have been disastrous, and then it just changed, and then brought me on board the whole way. I don't like this genre of movies. I don't like found footage movies, but I enjoyed this one. So there you go. If that kind of shows a movie that I was going into thinking I wasn't going to enjoy, and actually had a good laugh and a bit of fun with, says it all, really. They can do no more in my eyes.
Hell yeah. Yeah, I thought it was great. There is one little note that's just like a nice little drop that was even hard to notice that I found online, was on the top of the Ouija board. It says Klaatu Verata Nikto, which of course originally is from 1951's Day of the Earth Stood Still, but it was used as a reference to the Necronomicon in the Army of Darkness film. And I just love that they threw that tiny little note in there to just reinforce, yes, we are parroting Evil Dead and Army of Darkness. And, we're trying to make sure you understand that this is in that same goofy type of world. And that just helped, little things like that helped sink me into this universe of Sean. And I thought it was a lot of fun.
And then that's how you've got a horror fan making something.
Yeah, exactly.
Which is always a bonus. We've seen when non-horror fans get involved with this genre, or we've seen recently the idiot crowd and the other franchises have tried to come in, especially with Hellraiser being released. They tried to start up a load of shit, and it just fell into deaf ears because wrong crowd, mate. Fuck off.
Did you review that yet?
No, I can't get to watch it over here.
Oh, really?
Yeah, bastards. They've only released it in Hulu, which is only in America. So
Oh, I
unless
didn't know
I
that.
either pirate, which this channel's totally against piracy, because if you don't, you know what I mean,
Yeah,
it might save you a few bucks, but don't forget that's a whole industry, and there's a lot of people have jobs. So
yeah.
that's always the stance of this channel, that don't advocate piracy. I'm not into VPNs because I'm real, you know what I mean, that's a bit of a grift,
Mm.
the whole VPN thing. But if a studio doesn't have the respect to let me see a movie in my own country, then why am I going to waste my time chasing after it?
That's weird. I can't
It's
believe they haven't
But it's
released
not
it
just happened with that.
worldwide.
Terrifier 2 is
Oh,
not getting
really?
released over here. I pre-ordered the DVD, or sorry, the
Mm.
Blu-ray. It's actually a box set with both 1 and 2.
Wow.
But that's the only way I get to see it over here.
Oh,
What else?
that first one was pretty good.
Oh yeah, love it.
I haven't seen the second one yet. I'll have to check it out.
Well, like I said, it's in theaters over your way now, but
Mhm.
yeah, they're not doing that over here. So I have to
Huh.
wait for the Blu-ray at the end of the month.
It's so weird. Okay.
The entertainment industry has went completely. I don't know what they're playing at, but they don't. It's not about customer service anymore. They despise the customer.
Hmm.
There's this trend of the customer is the enemy, and
I
it's
don't know.
really off-putting.
It's really strange because you would think, especially with something like Hellraiser, that's a top tier franchise film that is getting this reimagining.
Welcome back, Spider Master. Good to see you on again. It's on last night. Yeah, that has an audience.
The thing is, like, you would, if the goal of a film is to get eyes on it, hence make money from it, why would you not release it everywhere at once in the internet age? You know, that doesn't make any sense to me. Like, is it because Hellraiser was originally a UK property and they like, is there some sort of weird licensing issues or like
Well, it
that
was
doesn't
made
make
by
any.
Spyglass. It wasn't made by Hulu. It was made by Spyglass
Mhm.
Entertainment.
Weird.
So it was made by Spyglass, but it was licensed to Hulu
Hmm.
exclusively. Now I don't know how long that lasts. Is
Yeah.
it exclusive for the month of October? Is it exclusive to the end of the year? Because obviously they're going to want to give Blu-ray sales.
Yeah, but the thing is, like,
But they've
it's
messed up
not that
already because
good.
you've lost the international audience.
Mhm.
The more I'm hearing about this, the less enthusiastic I'm about seeing it.
Yeah, there's good reason for that. It's
One
not
second, just to like
not
add
the
to
best. Thing is,
that.
I'm like a Hellraiser pure. I don't want to make this into a Hellraiser show. This is a different.
Oh, at the end of this, we could maybe do a talk spot at some stage. But yeah, we enjoyed this movie,
Mhm.
but it's still in the same theme because that's an independent movie, and now we're talking about the studios and how this is October. We should be getting all the best content now because that's the trend. Because that's when they bring the normies in to make their money.
Yeah.
It's the same as Christmas time for other things. This is when the normies go to watch a horror movie when normally they don't. And this is where the genre makes its money.
Yeah.
But they've messed up so badly, and with the release and everything else.
Yeah, it's wild. All right. Well,
Yeah, but all in all, enjoy the movie. Sorry, Spider Master, you're a bit late to the chat. What I've done there is, I know we were talking before about your movie you're wanting to create. That's our email address. Please drop me a message and we can arrange a time and we'll have a chat about it. Because
that'd be cool.
obviously, you're an independent creator yourself. He's creating a Splatoon horror film based on a Nintendo game.
Oh, cool.
So, yeah, it signed off a chat yesterday before I got a chance to actually say. But yeah, this
Right.
is what we're about. Yes, we can talk about the big studio stuff, but as I said, the more money gets involved, the more working parts comes in a movie, the less pure it is. You know, what I mean, the purity gets lost,
Yeah.
and the feeling and the message behind it, it just becomes generic, bland, and just you watch one, you watch them all.
Yeah.
Halloween Ends, perfect example of just blandness. And then we'll do it. I'm hearing the latest Hellraiser is a bit the same, mainly with the main protagonist is just an unlikable character. And
I don't know. I thought the protagonist was great, the female, but I hated the redesign of the Cenobites. I hated the idea of changing the lament configuration completely.
yeah,
Like
like blood
the
instead of
whole
desire.
lore, they changed the entire lore of everything, and that's what bugs me.
It sounds like they've made them into a generic monster now, as opposed to
Yeah.
clever demons. Like I said, demons are my favorite.
Hmm.
Demons are clever, smart, witty. And we've seen a clever demon in this.
Yeah.
Manipulative. They
So
don't they
good.
could kill you at any moment, but they want to toy with you
They
first.
want to fuck with you. Yeah.
That's the whole thing about a demon. The worst demons, no, the original Demons movie. While it was fun, Argento, but at the same time, he made them zombies.
Yeah. Well, Night of the Demons is a perfect example of demons going crazy. Like, that was such a fun, ridiculous
God, I haven't seen
80s
that in ages.
schlocky fucking thing. But it made demons into this. They want to mess with you. They want to have a little bit of fun while they take
Yeah.
your soul, you know? I mean, like, it's just so great.
And once you lose that, like I was having an interview last night, and we are talking about the supernatural aspect, the monsters.
Yeah.
Once you strip that away and try and rationalize it, you lose the magic of what they are. I've always said this about, the vampire, the werewolf, the zombie all getting meshed into one that you don't know what the hell it is.
Yeah.
And then they change the rules. So vampires can walk away in the daytime and sometimes they sparkle and shit, and you're like, what is this? Because you change the rules, you change the supernatural aspect, you make it a blood disease. Like I've said in previous things about, the undead and the infected should be two separate genres, as opposed to class them all under zombies.
Right.
Because the undead, the dead rising from their graves, the feast on the living, is a terrifying, fascinating thing in its own right. Where the infected is the infected, and that can be played with in its own way. But studios just want a quick, recognizable product. They just want you to hand over your money, switch your brain off, consume next product.
Yeah.
And that's
again, they want to make money. That's what that's what they're doing.
But they can. They've always been able to. Right. Studios have always been able to make money by making quality products.
Mm-hmm.
You've lived through the 80s like me. We've seen quality products. We've seen.
I don't know about quality, but definitely products. But we loved them. Like, that was the thing. Like, as silly and ridiculous as they are, maybe reflecting back in the moment, like Cyborg with Van Damme in the moment was great.
Oh God, yes.
Watching it now, I can't. I just can't get through it. It's not good at all. But they were not trying to target everyone. They're just trying to target fans of this. In that case, it was Van Damme, or in any horror film's case, it was for horror fans. Now they're trying to say, I want to not only target horror fans, I want to target everyone else too, and make it so everyone is loving it and everyone's okay with it. Well, that's where you lose everyone. We were just talking about this in this film with Sean losing his followers if he starts catering to randos that pop in and tell him to do things. That's what studios have done, is they're catering to this idea that everyone has to love everything or else it's going to be canceled. And that ruins everything.
Yep. You try to please everybody, you please nobody. One of the oldest sayings in time.
Yeah.
But there you go. I think because this could go into like 3 hours of us just going off on one. But really enjoyed this movie. Yeah, I've nitpicked it a bit, but still thoroughly enjoyable. Good laugh. Especially with the budget and the limitations. Fantastic job. They managed to make the found footage. They managed to refresh the found footage genre and bring it into today and give it a new twist, which is always fun. Yeah.
It's a fun little Halloween flick. Like, you should just check it out. It's a good one.
Absolutely. So there you go, folks. There's our review. Thanks everyone for tuning in, and of course, do all the clicky, commenty things that will need to happen to make us grow.
Smash that like button. Smash that subscribe button.
Clicky stuff.
Follow us on social media.
You know what to do. Keep up to date with the channel. Loads going on. Always busy. And until next time, keep it creepy. Keep it horrific.
Horrific.